edition of the EcoStruxure Machine Expert HVAC. I'm your host, Leandro Mala, and in this video what we're going to see are the enums that we have in the software. So let's go to the application, to presentation. So now, we already covered some of these features of variable type that we have in the software, but now is the moment to talk about the enums. And here the enum is something very important because here we need to separate how we see things. We have the enums, or enumerative, is a different way we can see the code. Okay, one for the installer and the other one for the one of the debugging. So we're gonna cover both in this video. Okay, so the important thing is to first identify the one for the installer. The one person that's going to install the main, probably the commissioner of the machine, to see some of the variables, to have a different way, or every person that want to check what's going on here. So let's go to the enums. Here in the two controls, you can see where they are. Now, the idea of the enums is to represent in an easy way for the guy who is in the troubleshooting, or for us on the development, how are the status of the variables, or which is the actual status of the machine or the variable. So on the left side here, you can see, okay, I have the motor. This is one way that I found in order to explain it. So I have a motor, and let's say that is running or not, and using a digital variable. Okay, it's going to be true or false. Now, I have another variable that can give me the actual status of the motor, if it's running, if it's in stop, or it's in fault. And for that, I'm using analog variable. Now, as you can see in this part, at the beginning, if it's running or not, we can use two values, true or false, because it's a digital variable. Now, if we're going to easily or check this, if we are in the installer part, true or false sometimes doesn't mean anything to us, because it will depend on the logic that we have when it's going to be activated. So in that case, the use of the enums are very good, because we can link a value to a string. So we have a text that explains what's going on. So in this case, even if it's true or false, if it's false, I can say, okay, instead of using the word false, you can use the stop or off. And it's going to be much easier to read and see, okay, the motor is off, right? And see the motor is off, is false. The same can be applied if it's true. The motor true, what does it mean? Nothing. So basically here we can add the word running. So, okay, the motor is running. So it's going to be much easier. And the same can be applied to analog, to a valve, for example, if it's open or if it's closed, instead of using true or false, because probably has negative logic, and even if we think it's false, if it's open, it's closed, or vice versa. The same can be applied for the analog value. So if it's 0, we can link the value, the string, the text off, 1 running, and the 2 in fail. And you can play with that. So having the enums to make some kind of diagnostic or troubleshooting without access to the code is good, because it gives us a better idea of what's going on. I know probably it's going to take more time, but it's easy to follow. Now, how we can work with the enums and how we can add it. So we just need to go to the configuration tab. Inside we should be able to have the Modbus objects, and inside we should be able to see the enums. Just right click over there, add enum, then we have the possibility to rename it, and then we just rename it to the thing that we want. Now that we have the enum and we name it, inside we have like a tabular thing, so like a table, and we just add values, add rows. In each row we have the possibility to configure the value and the description. The value will be if it's true or false, or the value 0, 1, 2, and the description is the text that we want for the enum. So if it's 0, I'm going to put the word closed, and if it's 1 or true, I'm going to have the value open. So simple as that. And then we just link the enum to a specific variable that we have in the status or in the EEPROM. So this is the idea. Okay, so I have 0, it's going to be off, 1 running, 5 fail. So fail or faulty, doesn't matter. So this is the description of how we can work on this. Now, as I mentioned before, we have on the status and the EEPROM variables and a specific column called installer type, another one IEC type. So the IEC type is how we are going to work inside the code, okay, the variable type, and the installer type is how we can see it on the installer part, the HVAC installer, or here I'm going to explain that later in the next model. But the idea is, if you want to use this, okay, it's not going to affect your code. You're going to still see the number 0, 1, and 5. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see the text. But here is just to have a different view how we can work on this part. So the variable, we just need to link in the installer type. The installer is because we have a HVAC installer, so we can read the variables from there. But I'm going to cover that later. So we just need to link that to the enum. Now, as a practice, let's just create a new enum. Then we're going to see the code. Okay, so let's go to the program. Let's close all this. Let's go to configuration. So I have already created these two enums, but basically we just add enum motor 2, because I have this one already created. I was playing before. 0 is going to be off, 1 is going to be running, and 5 fatal error. So I have these indications. Now, in order to use it, we just need to define, for example, a status. Here I'm going to define one model. So I have my pump, let's say pump 01. Here we just need to define the enum motor 2. As you can see, the default value changed, and we are able to select running fatal error. And in the code, we are not going to see the off, running, or fatal error. We're just going to see the what's it called, the number, not the text. So the idea of having this, for example, is to, or at least my opinion is, have menus. So for example, I got this pump state. So I'm going to create a pump state. Here I'm going to add 6 pumps. Okay, and let's remove the one over here. So all of them are enum motor 2. Doesn't matter the default part. Don't go into that detail. So I'm going to have the menu pump state. Here I have the object that's going to be inside this pump state. I'm going to select the one, pump 1, pump 2, pump 3. In order to see a description over here, we just need to go here, over here, we just need to go to description. So pump 01 state. And if we go back here to the pump state, the variable isn't there. The idea of watching this is that let's connect to the controller. I'm going to simulate this so I can easily show you what's going on. So let's download the code. I'm going to remove the things that I have on the watch so we can see everything. So we're going to add from the status variables the pump 1, 2, and 3. As you can see in the code, I got the value 0. I'm going to press this one and this one number 5, so we can see what I meant. Now if we go to the commissioning or the HVAC installer, having those menus will allow me to access into the application the name of the controller and a specific folder where the information is going to be in there. So if I read this, I should be able to see what does it mean, instead of seeing the value 0, 1, and 5 as I see over here. So I can change this to running, this one off, and this one running again. And the program, you can see 101. So it's going to be much better for us, instead of, oh, what was the number to send the command to whatever. This is the way to easily work on this. Okay. So this is important. So probably it takes you more time in order to develop the machine, but in terms of troubleshooting, as you can see over here, it's much easier. So let's go to this part. This define already this part, add a new option, see the variable of the code. We already see that part. Now okay, already explained this part. So they're good to check the code, what is going on. Yeah, create a menu. But it was for the status, but it's gonna be the same. In this part, this one, compile project, check the commissioning tab for application. So we have done 2 in 1. In this one, you see that's working. The advantages are there, are easy. So now let's go to the enums in the code so we can see what's going on over there. Now, for the enums, we had the possibility to define the enums. You can see here some of the uses. So at least this is how I use it in Machine Expert, the other software for the M241, M260, and M251. So I define an enum, enumeration, and if I'm doing some kind of cases, or if I compare like a constant value for the enum to create actions, as I'm doing over here. So for example, I have a case. Instead of using the number because I don't remember what I'm going to do in that step, I use the enum as a constant in order to define the step or assign a value, for example, in this case. Okay. For example, if I want the drive to run, it just replicate the same and output enum drive, this one, the hashtag on, and that's it, instead of putting the value 1. In this case, it's simple because it's 1, but probably if you have different kind of commands, it's going to be much easier to create an enum. So how we can create an enum now in the programming part. So in order to make the programming part, let's just close a few things I have here. So in order to do that, we just right click, add object, new definition, and here we have the enumeration, or what we call enum or enum. I don't know, but I will, you get the idea. So enumeration, here we just define the name for the enum. Here is probably you can use the same as the other one, but it doesn't going to create any conflict. And then you just okay, and then you can see the enum on your code. So once you have the enum, you can right click to select the properties in case you want to rename it and use some kind of description or images. But this part I don't use it, and also description I don't use it because inside I believe it's going to be clear enough, but if you want, you can do whatever you want. Now, if we double click on this one, we should be able to access to a tabular view so we can add the elements. So we can see we have the name and the value. So it's going to be similar to the other one, but vice versa. So here I'm going to have the string, and this is going to be the value they're going to see. And the other thing additional that we have is a description. We can add a description that in the past we weren't able to do that on the configuration part for the installer. So using the buttons over here, the plus and minus, as you can see over with using the toolbar for program, I believe it was, we should be able to add or subtract the rows that we have. As you can see here, once the enum is created, okay, with the different elements that we want, what we can do is to create a variable that has that enum as a type. So I create the enum, okay, that will have the syntax for the number to the string, and then I got a new variable with the type of that enum. So we can use that var enum in our code. As you can see over here, I also create as a local variable this no name as a type enum, and I'm moving the value new element 1 to this one. And here I'm using a double int, because this one is a double int, even if it's the enum, as a to no name. And you can see the new element plus 1, it doesn't send the string, it just work on numbers, okay, which is the real thing. So this is how you can use it, okay. So create an enum in the program tab. So let's create the enum in the program. Just open the program, programming, and just disconnect. So right click, add new definition, enumeration. Here is in the other window. So enum motor. Okay. So right click, edit properties. It's in the other window. Here you should be able to change the name, and that's it. We have the syntax, okay, for textual or tabular, okay, plus, and then this one subtract. If you don't see this bar, probably you can use toolbars, project, and you can see that it's appear, and then toolbars, project again, it's appeared again. So here it's going to be off, on, and faulty. Doesn't matter. Motor is off, motor is on, motor boom. And if you go here, you can see the comments. Okay, so I have already created this enum. You can see it's easy. And now in order to use it, let's go back here. It says motor, oops, motor 01. Here the type is going to be the enum. So you can use user types, and you can see enum motor, which is the one I have defined here, not in the configuration, because that is something different. Enum motor. And remember user type, because this is a user type. Enum motors. Okay, you can have it over there. Another thing, if we remember what we have saw before, let's see if I can add an array of this. 0, 2. Okay, I have 3 motors. I have array motor status, for example, and I can use an array as we saw in the previous video. So now in order to use this, I'm making a combination of everything, as you may see. Now in the main, so I can use another variable here, general motor, here type, enum motor select. So let's see what I can do here. I was planning something quick. 0.1. It's going to be general motor. So I'm going to move the value from the enum to here, just to show you. Let's see what I was planning to do. Create a variable new, check the behavior in the code. Okay, so let's see what's going on. I didn't put too many things here, so okay, let's move this. Compile. Download. General. So you can see here that I have different commands. If I press the value 5, was 5. Let's see. 5 and 1. I was number 2. Yeah. If I put the value, it automatically replaces to the string that is linked to that. So here I'm going to put it 1 to be on, and you can see it's on. Okay, so you can change that out. The same can be applied if I use this one, the index from the previous project that we had done, or for the previous video. Making one after the other in this case. So here, if I go to the here, I use this one that says everything is off, 0, and as soon as I change this, I can move through the array and make everything in on. Okay, it is one way to do it, but you get the idea. You made the comparisons over here, and in order to, for example, let's see what I want to show you. If I want to set all of them in true without using this variable, what I can do is to use a new motor, which is the name of the enumeration that I have, then the hashtag, and select this as a constant. Okay, so for example, this one, number 2, is going to be enum faulty. Hashtag again, faulty. So download, yes. Now you should be able to see the 2 in faulty and the other one based on the information on. Okay, as you can see, it's moved the faulty, and even if I move on over there, it just override with what I have. Okay, so this is one way to put it off. So I'm going to put this in off, the number 0, and then as soon as I move the index to 0, it will go to on again. So if you're not aware about the arrays, then just check the previous video that I explained everything there. But this is how you can work with Enums. And it's very important that you know that you have 2 different types of Enums, one for the installer or for debugging the just to know the status of the variables in an easy way, and the other one is for the code. They are different. So I know most of the time we don't care about the other one that is in the configuration because it takes time, but it saves you time later when you want to really need to read the code. As you saw, you can have all the variables in there for the status, and it's easy to see if it's a run or it's a faulty or it's in a stop, right? That's see 1, 2, 5 or whatever. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video, and I see you on the next one.